During the recent elections in Bihar, one topic became a huge political deal: migration. Was it about people being forced to leave for work, or was it a threat from people coming in? Well, the answer really depended on who you asked, and it was used as a political weapon. So in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise and see what's really going on.
And really, this was the central question that just took over the election campaign. But instead of being treated as a complex social issue, the movement of people was turned into a political tool. Your entire view of migration was supposed to depend on which party you supported, and that's where things started getting messy.
It's like each side was just trying to score political points. And in the process, the actual human stories, the real economic reasons why people move, all of that got completely lost. It just created this incredibly confusing picture for voters who are basically being told about two totally opposite crises happening at the same time.
Okay, so let's break down exactly how this all played out. Voters were hearing two completely conflicting stories about migration. On one hand, you had a story of failure forcing people out, and on the other, a story about a threat coming in.
And this is where you can see the huge contradiction. So the opposition, the RJD, they claimed the government was failing because people had to leave Bihar to find jobs. I mean, their slogan was literally "Stop Migration." But then, at the very same time, the ruling party was raising the alarm about so-called illegal immigrants entering the state. You just can't have it both ways. So which one is it?
All right, so let's just step away from all the political talk for a second and look at the actual data. Because when you start digging into the numbers, a picture starts to form that doesn't really fit either of those stories perfectly.
Right, this is where we get to the core of it. By looking at official sources, stuff like the Census and reports from the Election Commission of India, we can finally start to separate the political spin from what's actually happening on the ground.
So check this out. The opposition's claim about a lot of people leaving Bihar, well, that part is rooted in fact. According to the last census, almost 7.5 million people from Bihar were living and working in other parts of India. That's a massive, real-world phenomenon.
Now, for the other side of the story, that claim from the ruling party about a flood of illegal immigrants. As this quote shows, it's just not backed up by the evidence. India's own election commission looked into this specifically and found no proof of any large-scale immigration into Bihar.
So if both of the political explanations are kind of flawed, or at least incomplete, what are the real forces that are driving so many people to move from Bihar? Well, the answer has less to do with politics and a lot more to do with economics and demographics.
The first thing we have to wrap our heads around is that economists see migration completely differently than politicians. They don't automatically see it as a failure. For them, it's a natural, integral part of development. People moving to find better opportunities is often a sign of a dynamic economy, not a broken one.
And in Bihar's case, there are some really powerful drivers at play. The state has a higher fertility rate, which means it also has a much younger population than most of India. So, when you combine a huge, young workforce with the fact that economic opportunities are spread unevenly across the country, the movement of people isn't just likely, it's pretty much inevitable.
This brings us to what might be the most important takeaway from all of this. If migration is a natural process, then trying to stop it is probably the wrong goal. The real question should be, how do you turn this movement of people into a powerful engine for growth?
This leads to a completely different strategy, right? Instead of trying to build walls or force people to stay, the argument is to invest in the people themselves. The focus shifts to things like improving education, raising health standards, and creating a highly skilled and productive workforce. The idea here is actually pretty simple, but it's also really powerful. By equipping its young population with better skills, better health, and better education, Bihar creates a workforce that can thrive and contribute hugely to the economy. And it doesn't matter if they choose to work at home or in another part of the country. Their success becomes Bihar's success and India's success.
And that's really the final thought to leave you with. What if the entire political debate has been asking the wrong question all along? Maybe the challenge isn't how to stop people from leaving, but how to empower them so that wherever they go, they succeed. How do we upgrade migration from a story of necessity to a story of opportunity?